Hey guys, Chad from Winning Tennis here, and I want to make a brief video about how to handle the high forehands in tennis. I know a lot of you find it challenging to hit the high shots. Today we're going to look at a shirtless Dominic Thiem, so let's get right into it and see what he's doing to hit those high forehands and crush them. Okay, so he sets up into his power position right about here. And we can see that with his left arm coming up and his right arm coming up as well. His shoulders are turned. I want to point out here something with the forward angle of that racket is going to allow him to get greater torque or racket speed going through the high shots. That's one of the things that I advocate. I've made other forehand videos talking about that. You can see those forehand videos, but that's going to really help you generate the racket speed on the high shots. Now, what I want to point out, something that I think is causing a lot of challenge or issues or problems for people that have difficulty handling the high shots is that people are starting too low. They're starting low and they're trying to start low and they reach up to hit the high shot, and what they do is they hit the ball long or they hit a blooping shot, and they can't really go through with any pace, because if you try to go through with pace and hit the ball at this trajectory, the ball is just going to go out. So tip number one is do everything the same, get into your power position. Tip number two is make sure that the racket, sometimes you think the racket is coming back high, but it's actually here. It needs to be up at your head level. Okay, that's the real takeaway from this video, is you need, and it sounds very common sense, but a lot of people don't do it. You want to get that racket up by your eye level or head level on the hand right there. Okay, that would be number two, right? So there's two things. We have to get into the proper power position. We have to turn our shoulders, but we also have to get that racket head up. Now, he's going to be handling a ball that, look at that ball, it is right around his head level. So he gets that racket head or racket up to about his head level, and then notice he drops it down to just above his waist or around his waist level. So a lot of people have a misconception that even if you do bring the racket up high, you just swing through, make contact, and come through. Now, you can get away with that, and you could, if you swing kind of slow enough, you could let gravity bring the ball down. However, these guys are just all out crushing the ball, so they still need to get a little top spin, even though it's a high shot. That's why he's bringing the racket down a little lower. Now, this is going to move pretty fast, so let's see if we can. Okay, it moves really fast, but let's try to replay that a little bit so you can see. Now, again, he has the racket really up high. He's going to drop it, and he's going to come up to meet the ball. I stopped it here. You can see that the racket head is lower than the ball, still lower than the ball. And he really, when he makes contact, what he's doing is he's actually getting the angle of the racket down, and he's brushing across to get that kind of top spin. Look where the racket finishes. It finishes a little lower than the shoulder. So he's hitting a ball up for the head height. So this is really important. We want to bring the racket back high. We want to drop it about a foot under the ball, come up, brush on it, and then we finish slightly lower. Okay, so that's the swing path. That's something important to think about every time you hit a high shot. We want to get the racket up high. We want to drop the racket a little lower than the ball, and when you swing across, pretty much he really does come almost straight across, or you can finish slightly lower, but you don't want to finish higher. All right, let's close out with Dominic Thiem hitting some more forehands. He's got some low forehands here, and on the low forehands, the racket can be set back a little lower. But on the high forehand, here we see his racket. Look where his racket is set. All right, his racket, he has his hand right about here, as opposed to having his hand up here because the shot is lower. Yeah, another thing that's going to help you on the high shot. I know there's a lot of things to discuss in tennis in terms of technique. I don't want to overburden you, but something important is if you're going to hit in an open stance, you want to transfer your weight from the right foot onto the left foot. We can see him doing it right there. Pretty much every shot, he's transferring his weight from his right foot onto his left foot. Watch when he lands. He's landing with his weight on that left foot. His right foot is off the ground. Yeah. Really a beautiful, compact technique. And let me just say one other thing. If you're not crushing your high shots like Dominic Thiem or like the pros, I don't want to say you may never will, but these guys are extremely athletic. They're young, they're tall, they have tennis bodies, and they've been playing their whole lives. So you really can't compare yourself to a tennis pro if you're just an intermediate player or a club player. It's not fair. These guys practice for hours every day, and they're the cream of the crop in the world. When you think of the millions of people that play tennis in the world, these guys are top 10, top 100. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. Get out there, practice those high shots. Take a hopper of balls, have your friend feed you the balls, or get on a ball machine. Do what you have to do to practice those high ones, and I guarantee that you're going to start crushing them. See you in the next one.